Hello and welcome to Willena Crochets. I am Willena and this podcast is about crocheting, having fun, and playing with yarn. I usually play with yarn in different styles such as regular crochet, tapestry crochet, and directional crochet. So today this episode is going to be with cake yarn and directional crochet. What is directional crochet? Directional crochet is regular crochet and at some point change your direction in crochet. So for example, in regular crochet I can go from bottom to top, but in directional crochet I can go from bottom to top, left to right, just do one side, right side, and then go to left to right, or go from top to right or bottom to left, or I can complete a whole square by going around the whole piece to create a design. So in this piece here, this is directional crochet because I started from the bottom to the top and I used Bernat Pop, which is a cake yarn, in this one, Planetary, that's the name of the color. So it went from white, yellow, light blue to dark blue. And in this design, every time I change color, I change stitches. And this is fun because then you can use various stitches that you see. And then once this yarn ran out, I found the Bernat Velvet. So I needed the Bernat Velvet, and then I also needed the Bernat Velvet Plain in gold to complete the dress. So what I did is, by changing direction, instead of continuing up, I decided to go from left, top, and right side to finish the yarn and to create the front part of this dress. But once I ran out of the cake yarn, what was I going to do? Was I going to add more cake yarn, or was I going to add a different type of yarn? In this one, I found two different types of yarn. I used Aurora Yarns of Alaska and Fiber Arctic yarns to create the dress. The other two yarns were less bulky, so it gave it a better drape on the dress. So as you can see, the Aurora yarns is used on the sleeves, the top, and the other sleeve. If I turn the piece around, you can see the Fiber Optic yarn is used here because it had the same colors as the Bernat Velvet. And then I continue with the Aurora yarns in the back to complete the dress. As you can see, this dress changes directions quite often in the design. It goes from bottom to top, and then I go around the sides, and then I pick up the stitches and go from this part all the way to the top, and then I connect. Usually when I use directional crochet, the front and the back will not be the same. The sleeves will be the same, but never the front and the back. And this was fun creating because you just get to play with yarn. You get to find yarns, you get to look in your stash, you get to buy more yarn. You can never have enough yarn when crocheting. And this allows me to use multiple yarns. Instead of just buying one yarn for a whole design, I was able to use like 5 yarns in this design, which was great. I got to feel, I got to play with the yarns as I created the dress. Another example that I used, cake yarn, was with the Trendsetters Transition yarn. In that yarn, it went from red to black with different shades in between. So in this dress here, as you can see, I started with a hexagon shape. And then at some point in time, I just used 2 sides of the hexagon for a little bit, and then I picked up the sides, all 6 sides again to create the design. And because I only had one ball of this, now I had to go and hunt to find other yarns, and I found other yarns in red and black, as you can see here in the back. And the red here has a little sparkle, and it's a black ribbon on the bottom that I used. So with cake yarn, I can use it for the entire piece, or I can use it for part of the piece. When I created this blanket, I used cake yarn for the entire piece. This is 2 balls of cake yarn, and as you can see again, I changed direction based on the color, and then at certain colors, I gave it different stitches to use. Cake yarn, you can split the yarn. So in this shawl here, what I did was I split the yarn. So I used Lion Brand's ombre stripes. I used shawl in a ball. And then I also use ice cream cotton blend yarn to create this shawl. And the way I split the yarn is I made 2 equal granny squares. And then I used the shawl in the ball and created 3 rectangles. And then for the ice cream blend yarn, I created 2 rectangles and changed the direction of the squares. So as you can see, it's created in different pieces. When you use cake yarn, you don't have to use it in one ball. You can split the yarn and create different designs. But sometimes I'll create a design using the entire ball. So for example, I created this shawl in Twisted Cashmere Merino by Lana Grosser. So as you can see here, I started at the bottom and worked my way up. The direction wasn't changed, but I changed the stitches as the colors change. So sometimes you just want to continue in the same direction, which is fine. And so I created the shawl, which is a good size, in here. So some of the cake yarns that I'm waiting to use are the Karen cakes that I have here, which has a color change of this one. Then I also have the Karen Cakes Latte. But the cake yarn comes in different textures. It comes in wool, cotton, acrylic, and some of the cotton ones that I have are the Nicole Studio, the ones I have in red and blue. I have another trendsetter called Streamers, which comes in like Halloween colors. So I'm thinking of making something for Halloween in this yarn. Because I have other orange and purple yarn that I can add, or maybe some black that would make it look nice in this one. But another one I'm looking forward to using is the Karen Anniversary Cake. This is huge. I want to make a sweater, and hopefully it makes most of the sweater, and then I can just add other yarns to it to complete the design. So I'm looking forward to using this yarn. This is big. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they made a cake this big. And one of the finished objects that I just completed was this orange dress, in which I used the cake yarn here. But as you can see, it started off going from side to side, and then as the color changes, I changed direction. So as you can see how it blended in from like light orange to medium orange, and then it went into shades all the way to black. So this is the one of the dresses I created, and added additional yarns to complement the cake yarn that was used in the dress. One of my work in progress projects using this one, Whirl by Sheepez. And this one is thin, and I'm trying to create a skirt, but it's taking a while because it goes from like dark peach to light peach, which is beautiful. And I have 2 of them, so the entire piece will be created with this yarn. So as you can see in here, I'm already changing direction based on the colors, adding regular stitches, adding some lace stitches to the piece. So this was an introduction to directional crochet using cake yarn and different ways you can use it to create one-of-a-piece designs. Thank you for tuning in for this episode, and I can be found at Willena_crochets on Instagram and Willena Crochets on Facebook. I also have a blog, which is Willena Crochets. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, no yarn is off limits when crocheting. Thank you.